Welcome to the Social Bee podcast with your host, Louise Brogan. Every week, Louise will be bringing you a podcast all about women entrepreneurs, talking about their challenges, their goals, and inspiring you to either start your own business or grow the business you have. Visit www.socialbeeni.com to join our community and pick up some lovely freebies to start marketing your business online today.
Hello and welcome to today's episode of the Social Bee podcast. Today I am really delighted to have Erin Wong coming on the podcast. Erin has been in business for herself for over 10 years now. Previously, she worked in television production. How I came across Erin was that she has a membership site called Making Mumpreneurs, which obviously caught my eye. If you're a regular listener to the podcast, you know I'm really interested in A, mums working, and B, membership sites. So we are perfect fit for each other. And the Making Mumpreneurs actually started about 2 years ago. So Erin, I'd just like to welcome you to the podcast if you want to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your business.
Thank you very much, Louise. Yeah, so I started working for myself 10 years ago this year. I worked in TV production before I had my first son, and very quickly realised that doing that kind of career and having children wasn't compatible in the same way that I wanted to be there, you know, to pick him up from school and that kind of thing. I didn't know anyone that ran their own business at that time. It was all very new to me, and I kind of basically let my mind be open to opportunity. And my first business was actually a franchise of a jewellery company called Small Print.
Oh, right.
And yeah, they trained me to make the jewellery, sell the jewellery, and it was a huge learning curve, but amazing because it really taught me so much and opened up my eyes to this whole new world that I had no idea, you know, really existed. And since then, I kind of got a bit addicted and I started several businesses. But, you know, my full-time focus now is Making Mumpreneurs. And I actually set that up when we went to live in Abu Dhabi for a year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. My husband got headhunted, and it was one of those opportunities that came out of the blue. And we thought, blimey, this kind of stuff doesn't really happen very often. And crazy not to try it.
Yeah.
But actually, you know, I had a great network in West London. I'd been running Mums in Business networking groups for Ealing Mums in Business. I had an amazing support around me, and then there I was in the Middle East, feeling incredibly isolated, and realised kind of quite how special the community was that I'd built up in West London. So I decided to bring it online. So the idea of Making Mumpreneurs is that there are mums all around the world who are trying to do this juggle, running a business, having a family, and we all need support. And it actually doesn't matter what the business is. We often face the same challenges.
Yeah, so true.
And that's how we connect with each other.
So I didn't know that you had gone to Abu Dhabi for a year. And really, I love the idea that before you went, you set up and ran the local mums networking businesses? Yes. Yeah. So what was your business then? Was that still the Small Prints, or had you moved into a different business model?
So I ran Small Print fingerprint jewellery for 5 years, and during that time I co-founded Ealing Mums in Business with my business partner Shelley Henderson.
Yes.
And then I was running both of those, and then I founded a third business which was called Pitter Patter, the Hub for Bubs. So that was all about the fact that there were loads of baby and toddler classes going on, but they were in church halls or community centres, sitting on a dusty floor, having tea from a scaly kettle. And I thought, wouldn't it be amazing to have a really nice venue where you could go every day and there was something going on? But I didn't want to make the investment of a venue myself. You know, I'm very much I've forgotten the term for it, shoestring startup, like
yes, bootstrapper,
that's it. Yeah, shoestring, yeah, bootstrapper. You know, I like to start my businesses with as little money as possible. So I had to think outside the box, and I basically found an amazing gastro pub in West London that was open in the mornings and actually had no one in there. So I spoke to the manager and said, what would you think about having baby and toddler classes in here? The mums will buy cappuccinos and stay for lunch. And he was absolutely thrilled by the idea. So, I mean, I was running 3 businesses at that time, but they were all quite interlinked. So obviously, my small print customers were mums who'd had children. Ealing Mums in Business was about mums who were running their own businesses, and Pitter Patter was once again about mums. So it worked quite nicely together.
That's amazing. I think you're the first person to come on my podcast who is actually running 3 businesses at one time. It's very inspiring. So it's funny because you didn't start out as an entrepreneur, but you seem to have really taken to it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was a production manager in television, so I liked my spreadsheets. I liked being organised, and I think actually, having my first son, I felt so out of control, like I never have before. I read all the books. I thought that you could control your baby. I thought you could, make your baby go to sleep and sleep all night, and that they would. And I felt really quite lost and quite depressed, really. And for me, kind of learning about running my own business and that journey that it takes you on was so empowering. Because I can't imagine going back to the TV world that I was in. I loved it at the time, but it's like I'm in a whole new chapter of my life now. And I love the fact that I've been able to kind of mold my career around the other things that are important now.
No, I love that. That's brilliant. So one of my questions that I usually ask people is, what was the main driver for starting your own business? But I think really you've answered that, because like a lot of mums who start their own businesses, it's finding something that fits around the fact that you're a mum as well.
Absolutely. And actually, it's quite topical, because we've been talking about this in the Making Mumpreneurs Club about the cost of childcare. And even though I was, in London on a London salary, a good salary for TV, when I worked out how much it would cost to have my son in full-time nursery when he was, 8 months old or something, literally I would have been taking home a few £100s a month profit. And it was just ridiculous. And so why would you put yourself through all the stress of working full time, the problems with school holidays, the guilt that you feel, when actually financially it's not even worth it?
No, it's funny because I was talking to my husband and my sister-in-law about this at the weekend, and we were talking about the price of childcare. But I suppose we were saying my youngest now is 8, so we are past all that. But there's a period of time. We have 3 kids. There's a period of time for about 5 years where literally my salary was just eaten up by all the childcare. And you do think, well, what is the point of this?
Absolutely. I think that there's a statistic from the Sunday Times that says a woman has to be earning at least 40 grand a year to make any profit from going to work if she's got 2 children in childcare. And the average UK salary is, I think it was something like 23. There's a huge discrepancy there. And I think that's what's pushing a lot of women to start their own businesses, which I think is an amazing thing.
Yes, I agree. Now, I will say, for people who decide that they don't want to do that, that the pain can only last 3 or 4 years till they all start school, and then your childcare costs do go down. Because I know a lot of people listen to this who are in employment as well, so it's like a temporary freeze on your career almost, or on your finances. But it does get better.
Yeah, absolutely.
Erin, if you could change one thing about your first years in business, what would it be?
It would be that I always thought too small. Obviously the franchise that I had a set area. So, that was great. You could scale it to a certain point. Ealing Mums in Business, we called it Ealing Mums in Business because we were in Ealing. But in hindsight, it meant that it couldn't really go any bigger than that.
Yes.
And we didn't, but it's all to do with the reason why you set these things up, isn't it? Because, we set it up really to help ourselves as well as others. Yeah. And so we weren't thinking world domination. We were thinking, this is a nice thing to do.
Yes.
And also with Pitter Patter, that scaled quite quickly. I had 3 venues within the first year, and unfortunately, what started happening is that new pub managers would come in and they'd say, oh no, actually we want to have business meetings in this space instead. And all that work that we'd done to market the classes and have all these mums coming here and it was all amazing, that would all be lost. And I think if I'd been thinking bigger from the beginning,
yes,
I could have made this franchisable. And that's one thing that, I did look at, but it just, the model that I'd created wasn't stable enough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I think it's a fantastic idea. And does it still exist?
It lasted for 5 years, but then we made the decision. There seems to be a 5-year itch going on with my business. But I think, I'd left Ealing quite a while before it kind of finished, and Shelley, my co-founder of Ealing Mums in Business, she came on as a business partner for Pitter Patter as well. So when I was in Abu Dhabi, she was running it. Mm-hmm. But I think everything has its lifetime, and because unfortunately the way we'd set it up, it just wasn't going to make the money that we wanted it to. We made the decision to stop it. But I think and that's where I've got absolutely no regrets, because all of these experiences with these different businesses have what led to where I am now. And the whole, my thinking right from the beginning with making Mumpreneurs is that it's global. I was living in Abu Dhabi. I realized very quickly how big the world is. And I decided very consciously that I wanted an online business that I could scale.
Yes.
And that's an incredibly exciting place to be. But I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for all those other experiences. Oh,
I know. It's so true. It's everything you do, you pick up learning tips from it and you carry it to the next thing, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
So what would you say has been your biggest achievement to date in business?
Well, back in, I think it was 2015, we actually had a reception held for us in the Houses of Parliament, Shelley and I, through our local MP, and basically held this reception to thank us for all our help supporting small businesses. So that was absolutely awesome,
Yeah.
To be recognised like that was incredible.
Well, so, Erin, there could be an MBE or an OBE in your future.
Oh, we'll see. But I just think, it is working for yourself and not having a boss to pat you on the back when you do good things is really tough sometimes. And so to get that kind of recognition, and that's why I always say as well to people, you must apply for awards.
Yes.
Do put yourself out there. And I think people are so...
This episode is brought to you by the Social Bee Academy, your online learning space to market and grow your business. With monthly training, live group coaching calls, a thriving community and resource library. If you're looking for learning, focus and accountability, the Social Bee Academy is for you. Come and check it out at www.louisebrogan.com.
Embarrassed about the idea of applying. They want to be nominated. And, that's understandable, but, yes, ask a friend to nominate you, but just don't be scared to apply, because otherwise, people aren't going to find out about what great work you're doing. And it's amazing to get that recognition.
That's very timely, actually, because at the moment, Small Business Saturday have got their applications out for the Small Business Top 100 for this year. And I did that last year. And if you haven't applied for it before, Erin, or haven't done it before, you should definitely go for it. It's amazing. The Small Business Saturday team, and they run up Small Business Saturday, which is the first Saturday in September. They promote for 100 days, 100 businesses across the UK, and it's products or services. So that, I'm an online business and I was one of the top 100. And then we had a special reception at Downing Street in November, and it was amazing.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's open at the minute. So you should apply for that. And anyone listening who's got a small business, definitely apply for it. It's a fabulous, fabulous organisation.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah, so go for that one. So what would you say has been the biggest challenge you've had so far?
Lots. It's hard to say one. Confidence, definitely. I mean, I cannot tell you how different I feel in the last couple of years, and that I know that's like 8 years in, but I think that I wish I'd felt more confident about my ability when I started out, and I think that this is one thing that's really hard. You know, when you have a career, you're in full-time employment, you've got a job role, you get to know that job role inside out. You can do it with your eyes shut. And so confidence comes with that. Yeah. When you start your own business, you have so many hats to wear. You can't possibly know everything, and you can't possibly be good at everything either. Yeah. And I think until you accept that, you're on this constant self-doubt